Now our topic, bond parameters. What are these bond parameters? All these concepts related with bonds. A chemical bond, nothing but a covalent bond, mostly covalent bond we are discussing here. So in these bond parameters, so what are those? So here, that is, first one, bond length. Second one, that is bond energy. Third one, bond angle. Fourth one, bond order. Fifth one, resonance. Sixth one, that is bond polarity. Bond polarity, this is comes with dipole moment. Dipole moments. All these topics related with a chemical bonds. That's why all these are comes under bond parameters. So now we are discussing here one by one. So first of all, bond length. Bond length. What is this bond length? So here we consider a covalent bonding. So after explaining, I will give the definition. Please wait, boys. Now I am considering a covalent bond between similar atoms and also between dissimilar atoms. So now I am considering a diatomic molecule. So consider a diatomic molecule. So what is a diatomic molecule? Molecule having only two atoms. Molecules having only two atoms are called as diatomic molecules. So now I am considering a diatomic molecule of similar atoms or dissimilar atoms. So let us take similar atoms. A bond is present between hydrogen and hydrogen like same atoms, or a bond is present between hydrogen and chlorine like different atoms. So this is we consider as A and A similar atoms. Here we consider A with B different atoms. So this is the example for that one. This is the example for that one. For AB type molecule, HCl. For AA type molecule, H2. For AA2 type AA type molecule, H2. Here it is a bond present between two similar atoms, that is homodiatomic molecule, boys. Homodiatomic molecule. It is between different atoms, that is heterodiatomic molecule. Heterodiatomic molecule. Now here both the atoms are same, that means their electronegativities are same. So that means electronegativity in case is almost not available here. But here different atoms are there, electronegativity influences must be present on this bond method. See here what happened. See here both the atoms are same. Both the atoms are same. So now, so let us say this is A atom. This is another A atom. There is a covalent bond. This is the nucleus of this atom. This is the nucleus of this atom. So this is a internuclear distance between these two atoms. This is A. This is A. This is called as, so this is this length, and I am taking this one as D. That is D is nothing but diameter of atom, or which is also taken as internuclear distance. Which is internuclear distance. That is the distance between two nuclei of bonded atoms. Two nuclei of bonded atoms. Okay. So this is called as internuclear distance. This internuclear distance is nothing but bond length. This internuclear distance here we consider as bond length. How, sir? How is this? See, boys, this is half of the internuclear distance. Already I explained at the time of covalent radius. This is a covalent bond between two atoms. This is covalent radius of A, and this is also covalent radius of A. It is the distance, half of the internuclear distance. It is a covalent radius. Sum of the two covalent radii is the bond length. So that means here AA bond length of A2 molecule is equal to radius of A plus radius of A. Radius of A plus radius of A. Radius of A plus radius of A is nothing but, so this is radius of A, this is radius of A, which is called as that is the diameter of A molecule. Diameter of A. Diameter of A. How to find out the diameter of A? So how to find out the radius of this A? So radius of A plus radius of A is nothing but, which is nothing but 2 into radius of A, which is equal to diameter of A. Therefore, radius of A is equal to diameter of A by 2. Diameter of A by 2, that is A2. So that means, so this is radius calculation. So distance is nothing but internuclear distance. Internuclear distance. Radius of first atom plus radius of second atom, which is called as internuclear distance. So that is nothing but internuclear distance which is nothing but bond length by 2 is the radius of A. By 2 is the radius of A. So nothing but internuclear distance. So bond length is simply taken as internuclear distance in case of homoatomic molecules. In case of heteroatomic molecules, here, so diameter is equal to radius of A plus radius of A. It is nothing but bond length, which is nothing but bond length. Now, in case of heteroatomic molecules, in case of heteroatomic molecules, in case of hetero diatomic molecules, that is AB type molecule. Hetero diatomic molecules, diameter of AB is equal to radius of A plus radius of B plus C into XA minus XB. C into XA minus XB. Actually, in previous case, diameter of AA is equal to radius of A plus radius of A. This is previously for homoatomic molecule study. It is for homodiatomic molecules. For homodiatomic molecules, just addition of those two radii of the atoms. Just addition of those two radii. But in case of diatomic molecules, that is different atoms between different atoms, that is heterodiatomic molecules. So radius of A plus radius of B plus C into XA minus XB. So now our doubt is, what is that C? What are those XA and XB? So already we know XA and XB are nothing but electronegativity set. Here XA and XB is equal to electronegativities of A and B respectively. Electronegativity. So electronegativity of A and electronegativity of B. Electronegativity of A and B respectively. But C, what is this C? C is nothing but constant. Its value depending on type of atoms involved in the bond formation. So in our chemistry, periodic table is the most important. In that periodic table, different periods are there, different elements are there. So see boys, this C value depends on type of atoms attached in it. The C value is equal to 0.08 or which is equal to 0.06 depending on the type of atoms involved in the bond formation. So that is if A and B are the second period elements. If A and B are the second period elements, then use the value C as 0.08. Second period elements, what are those second period elements? See boys, hydrogen, helium are the first period elements. Second period, lithium, beryllium, boron, carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, fluorine, neon. These are the second period elements boys. So see here, if the bond present between these atoms, between carbon and C, between carbon and nitrogen, So between boron and carbon, nitrogen and oxygen, carbon with fluorine, these are all bonds between same second period elements. For such type of bonds, so our C value is equal to 0.08. If A and B are second period elements, if A and B are second period elements, so which is equal to 0.06. If bond is present between, bond is formed by phosphorus, silicon or sulfur with high electronegative elements. High electronegative elements other than first period elements. Other than first period elements. That means a phosphorus bonded with high electronegative elements or silicon bonded with high electronegative elements. Generally, high electronegative elements are nothing but, that is, fluorine is the topmost electronegative element. Next, oxygen. Next to nitrogen, chlorine, bromine, halogens are generally high electronegative elements. So with those high electronegative elements, if these elements are involved in bond formation, that means phosphorus with fluorine or phosphorus with chlorine, silicon with chlorine. So silicon with oxygen. These are all high electronegative elements, boys. If phosphorus, silicon or sulfur with oxygen. So like this. So in these cases, 0.06 is used. So for Cn. So that means C value depends on nature of the element which is involved in the bond formation. So see, boys. So in case of diameter, that is a diameter. D means diameter of AB. That is the diameter of AB molecule is equal to, that is nothing but bond length, which is nothing but bond length. Bond length is equal to radius of A plus radius of B plus C into XA minus XB. So XA and XB are the electronegativities, comparable electronegativities based on Pauling scale values, boys. Okay. So now C is equal to constant. That C value depending on, if second period elements are involved in bond formation, C value is equal to 0.08. If phosphorus, silicon, sulfur, these elements are bonded with high electronegative elements like oxygen, chlorine, like that, so that C value is equal to 0.08. C value is equal to 0.08. So this is the formula mostly useful to calculate bond length. In many cases, this is very, very useful, boys, but not for all cases. Next, now what are the factors that influencing on this bond length? What are the factors influencing on this bond length? Now, factors on bond length. What are the factors on bond length? The first and most important is, first point wise, as the size of the atoms increases, when compared here, it is the bond length, boys. Here it is the bond length, boys. So this bond length is more than that of this bond length. That means as the size of the atoms is more, automatically bond length is high. Therefore, bond length is directly proportional to size of the bonded atoms. So bond length is directly proportional to size of the bonded atoms, boys. So for example, we have HF molecule, HCl molecule, HBr molecule, HI molecule. In all these cases, hydrogen is constant. But fluorine has size is small end. Fluorine size is something more. Bromine has something more. Iodine has something more. That means from left to right, bond length increases because as the size of the one of the bonded atoms increases, other is constant. That means here in case of HF, the bond length value is 92 picometers, boys. 92. So for HCl, the bond length is 127 picometers. For HBr, the bond length is 141 picometers. So for HA, the bond length is 160 picometers. So picometers is the unit for length end. Generally, length units, bond length is nothing but length end. Length measured in either meters, centimeters. So this is MK system or SI system, boys. CGS system is centimeters is the unit. So along that, because the bond length is very, very minute distance, a small distance, those minute distances are measured in terms of angstroms, picometers, nanometers, like this. These are the units. These are the units for this bond length. Units for bond length. So see here, boys. Bond length is directly proportional to size of the bonded atoms. Here, size of the atoms increases, bond length also increases. So that means bond length is influenced by the size of the atom. Next condition. That is, bond length is directly proportional to percentage of P. Bond length is directly proportional to percentage of P. Very, very, very important. And inversely proportional to percentage of S. In case of hybrid orbitals. That means hybridization also influences bond length. As P percentage increases, bond length increases. As P percentage, vice versa. As P percentage increases, hybrid orbital size also increases. See, boys. So these are different hybrid orbitals. Different hybrid orbitals. This is sp3 hybrid orbital. This is sp2 hybrid orbital. This is sp hybrid orbital. This is sp3 hybrid orbital. S percentage 25, P percentage 75. Here sp2, S percentage 33.3 and P percentage 66.6. Here sp, S percentage 50 and P percentage 58. See, boys, as the P percentage increases, in this direction P percentage increases, the size of the orbital increases. As the size of the orbital increases, distance between the atoms also increases. That means sp3 bond has more distance in it when compared to sp2 bond, because it is small in size, that is big in size. That means as P percentage increases, bond length increases. As S percentage decreases, see, boys, it is S percentage increases, bond length decreases. S percentage increases, bond length. That means S percentage decreases, P percentage increases, bond length increases. This is the condition, boys. So this is the condition. See, boys, some example. Example for this. That is, there is a C single bond C. There is a C single bond C. Okay. Next, there is a C double bond C. There is a C triple bond C. Here carbon is in sp3 hybridization. It is also sp3. It is sp2 carbon, sp2 carbon, sp carbon, sp carbon. Here S percentage 25%, S. Here S percentage 33.3. Here S percentage 58. Here the bond length, which is C single bond C bond length is 1.54 angstroms. So C double bond C, that is bond length is 1.34 angstroms. C double bond C, triple bond C, that is 1.20 angstroms. That means from left to right, bond length decreases. From left to right, bond length decreases. From left to right, that is S percentage increases, P percentage decreases. That is why this is the best example for that. Therefore, bond length directly proportional to P percentage and inversely proportional to S percentage. It is another factor. It is another factor that influences bond length. That influences bond length. Next one. Next one. Next, bond length is inversely proportional to bond order. Bond length is inversely proportional to bond order. What is bond order, boys? Bond order is nothing but number of bonds between two atoms in a molecule. Number of bonds between two atoms in a molecule is called as bond ordering. So as the number of bonds between two atoms increases, for example, there is a C single bond C, there is a C double bond C, there is a C triple bond C. Here bond order is equal to 1, only one bond between carbon and carbon. Here bond order is equal to 2 bonds. Here bond order is equal to 3 and 3 bonds. That means here, so only one is the bond, that means less is the attraction between the atoms. Here more bonds, 2 bonds are there. As number of bonds increases, attraction between the atoms increases. Here 3 bonds are, more is the attraction. As attraction increases, the distance between the atoms decreases. As the distance decreases, length decreases. That means more is the bond length, more is the attraction, more is the attraction, less is the distance, less is the bond length. That means as bond order increases, attraction between the atoms increases. Therefore, distance between the atoms decreases. Therefore, bond length decreases. Therefore, bond length decreases. That means here it is 1.54 angstroms, here it is 1.34 angstroms, here it is 1.20 angstroms. That means bond order is more, bond length is less. Bond order is more, bond length is less. So this is also very, very important, boys. This is also very, very important. Okay. So it is another factor. It is another factor. Next point. All these in case of bond length end. Next point, that is and very, very important, boys, that is if a bond present between same atoms in different molecules, same atom in different molecules. If a bond present between same atoms in different molecules. Okay. So for example, I am considering OH bond. In H2O, there is a OH bond. In H2O, there is a OH bond. So here I am considering bond length of OH. Next, there is H2O2. H2O2. This is H2O2, boys. Here also OH bond is there. Here also OH bond is there. Next, alcohol, that is C2H5OH. Here also OH bond is there. See, boys, what I wrote here, if a bond present between two same atoms, here same atoms, but in different molecules. This is water, this is hydrogen peroxide, this is hydrogen peroxide, this is ethyl alcohol. This is ethyl alcohol. Different molecules, but same bond set, same bond. So in this case, bond length of OH is almost the same. Very, very important. That means here the bond length of OH and OH is almost the same. Bond length in this case, bond length is almost, because the similar atoms. And also hybridization is also same ending. Here oxygen is in sp3 hybridization. Here oxygen is also sp3 case. Here oxygen also sp3. That means all these are in same hybridization. If hybridization same, but different molecules. But bond is the same. Then the bond length of that one is always constant, almost the same, even though the molecules are different. But if hybridization is different, here hybridization is same, boys. If hybridization is different, automatically bond length varied. Almost bond length varied. So that means here hybridization constant. Here hybridization constant, bond length same. If hybridization is different, so for example, I am taking CH bond in different molecules with different hybridizations. In different hybridizations. See boys, ethane and second one is ethene and ethine. Ethene is also called as ethylene. Ethine is also called as acetylene. Okay. So now here ethane formula C2H6. Ethene formula C2H4. Ethyne formula C2H2. See here, C single bond C, 3 hydrogens. 3 hydrogens. So now I am considering CH bond. Here carbon is in sp3 hybridization. And C2H2, there is a C double bond C, H, 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 H. Here also I am considering CH bond. This carbon is in sp2 hybridization. sp2. Now C triple bond C, H, H. So if I consider CH bond, here carbon is in sp hybridization. sp hybridization. No doubt we know, my dear boys, the sp hybrid orbital has a small in size. sp2 hybrid orbital has something more in size, and sp3 has large in size. That is why. So this orbital gives more bond length and medium bond length and shorter bond length. Shorter bond length, because hybridations are different. So if hybridations are same, just like in previous case, all the bond lengths are same. Here hybridations are different because hybrid orbital sizes are varied. Because of that, bond length as percentage increases, decreases. See here what that is. Here CH bond length is 110 picometers. This is CH bond length is 110 picometers. Here 109 picometers. There it is 106 picometers. 106 picometers. That means if hybridization is different, bond length is according to that hybrid orbital. If hybridization is same, molecules are different, bonds are same, automatically bond lengths are also same. So these are different factors that influencing on bond length, boys. What is the bond length? That is the distance between the two nuclei of bonded atoms. Okay. So this is all about bond length. So this is the concept in bond length. Now next parameter, that is bond angle. What is this bond angle? See here. Next parameter, that is bond angle. What is bond angle? What is this bond angle? Bond angle means angle between two bonds at the central atom. Angle between two bonds at the central atom. So see here, let us take an example. There is H2R. Add oxygen. Oxygen is the central atom. There is two hydrogens. Oxygen with hydrogen. There is two bonds. So the angle between two bonds at the central atom is the bond angle. Is the bond angle. Just like ammonia, NH3. This is NH3, boys. That has pyramidal shape. Nitrogen has a lone pair. Nitrogen has a lone pair. Here the bond angle between, only we consider at the central atom. So this is one bond, this is one bond. Between two bonds, the angle is called as bond angle. Next, methane. There is a carbon with 4 hydrogens. That is a tetrahedral shape. The angle between two bonds at the central atom is the bond angle. Is the bond angle. What is bond angle? Angle between. See here. Angle between the orbitals containing bond pair of electrons, that means bond pair of electrons, nothing but bonds ending. Bond pair of electrons around the central atom, in a molecule or ion, in a molecule or an ion is the bond angle. That is a statement for bond angle. That is a definition for bond angle. So if it is molecule, it is a bond angle in that molecule. If it is an ion, that is a bond angle in ion. So for example, SO4 2 minus ion, S double bond O, SO4 2 minus, it is ion wise. So here is the angle between these two is the bond. Here is the angle between these two is the bond angle. So see here what happens. Okay. So how to measure this bond angle? This bond angle is measured with the help of spectroscopy. Spectroscopic arrangements are there. So that is the only conditioning. So now what are the factors that influencing this bond angle? On bond angle? So what is the purpose of this bond angle? Why we use bond angle? Because the stability of the molecule is explained on the basis of this bond angle. The stability of the molecule is explained on the basis of this bond angle. That is why we consider bond angles, because shapes of the molecules, stability of the shapes of the molecules is explained this bond angle. So because bond angle is directly proportional to stability of the molecule. Or ion. More is the bond angle, more is the stability of that molecule. More is the bond angle, more is the stability of the molecule. So because of this purpose only, we consider this bond angle. Just consider bond angle. So those molecules, that means, that is, see here, BeCl2, there is 180 degrees bond angle. Next, BCl3, there is 120 degrees bond angle. 120 degrees bond angle. Next, CH4, and there is 109 degrees 28 minutes is the bond angle. See boys, 180, 120, 109 degrees 28 minutes. So 109 degrees 28 minutes. That means bond angle decreases. As bond angle decreases, no doubt each and every molecule is very, very stable. No doubt each and every molecule is very, very stable. But when compared to one another, so BeCl is most stable. BeCl, individually all these are very, very stable. But when comparing, there is a comparison is there. Automatically BeCl is most stable. So more is the bond angle, more is the stability. Now what are the factors that influencing this bond angle? So those factors. See boys, factors. First one, hybridization. Hybridization of the central atom. Hybridization. Already we know different hybridizations gives different bond angles. sp 180, sp2 120, sp3 109 degrees 28 minutes, sp3d one is 120 and up and down 90 degrees. So like this, that means the bond angle is influenced by hybridization. So no need of explanation, already we completed. Now second one. What is that? That is presence of electron pairs, lone pair of electrons. Presence of lone pair of electrons on central atom. Presence of lone pair of electrons on central atom. See boys, as number of lone pairs on central atom increases, bond angle decreases. Very, very important. As the number of lone pairs on central atom increases, bond angle decreases. The best example for that one is, see here, CH4. CH4. So carbon has 0 lone pairs. Bond angle is equal to 109 degrees 28 minutes. Next, NH3. Oxygen has 1 lone pair. So here bond angle is equal to 107 degrees. 1 lone pair is there. 1 lone pair. Next, H2O. Oxygen has 2 lone pairs and already Vespa theory concept ending. That is bond angle is equal to 104 degrees. 104 degrees. See boys, here 2 lone pairs, here 1 lone pair, here 0 lone pairs. As the number of lone pairs increases, bond angle here 109 degrees 28 minutes, 107 degrees, 104 degrees. Therefore, bond angle decreases. Bond angle decreases. So someone yesterday asked, sir, what is the steric number? Steric number is nothing but that is the total number of electron pairs around the central atom, including both lone pairs and bond pairs. Including both lone pairs and bond pairs. See boys, here 4 bond pairs. Steric number is equal to 4. So that is a steric number, boys. Steric number. Someone asked me yesterday, sir, what is the steric number? So steric number decides the shape of the molecule. That is in Vespa theory. The word is not used by me. So in Vespa theory, steric number word is used. Okay, Satvik, see here. Steric number, that means, so number of lone pairs plus number of bond pairs at the central atom is nothing but steric number. So already we calculated with the help of our formula. So that is the number of total number of electron pairs is equal to atoms attached plus 1/2 group number V, something formula is there. So that number of electron pairs, that total P is equal to steric number. So we consider there as total number of electron pairs. In some books, that P is considered as a steric number. Okay, so that is clarified. Here steric number is 4. Here also steric number. Here steric number is equal to 4 because total 4 bond pairs and 4 bond pairs. Here steric number 1, 2, 3, 3 bond pairs, 1 lone pair. Steric number is equal to 4. Here also so 2 bond pairs, 2 lone pairs. Steric number is equal to 4. So that means the steric number is same, but lone pairs and bond pairs are different. That steric number decides the shape of the molecule. That decides the structure of the molecule. That decides the hybridization of the molecule. So that is already we completed, but that word is not used. Okay, boys, let us consider our topic. That is bond angle. As the number of lone pairs on the central atom increases, bond angle decreases. Bond angle decreases. Okay, so this is another factor, boys. Next. Please note down all these points. Very, very important in your objective side. That's why I am detailedly exploring it. Next one, right? That is for molecules having same central atom but different attached atoms, that is bond angle is inversely proportional to electronegativity of attached atoms. Electronegativity of attached atoms, that is the surrounding atoms. So boys, same central atom is there, but attached atoms are different. For example, Ni3 ra, NBr3 ra, NCl3 ra, NF3. So here nitrogen, all central atoms are same. But attached atoms here, iodine, bromine, chlorine. Okay, that means attached atoms are different. So we know in a group from top to bottom, chlorine, bromine, iodine, top to bottom, electronegativity decreases. That means fluorine has highest electronegativity, iodine has least electronegativity. So here electronegativity is inversely proportional to bond angle. Therefore, least electronegativity means in this molecule bond angle is higher. Therefore, order of bond angle in this case is greater than. Okay, NF3 bond angle is greater than NBr3, greater than NCl3, greater than NF3. If central atom is the same. If attached atoms are same but different central atoms. So next case, that is, if attached atoms are same but different central atoms, their bond angle is directly proportional to electronegativity of the center. Very, very important points. Bond angle here. So bond angle is directly proportional to electronegativity of the central atoms. So it's a different central atom but same attached atoms. So see here, I am explaining with 15th group elements. What are those 15th group elements? Nitrogen, phosphorus, arsenic, antimony, bismuth. These are our 15th group elements, boys. Nitrogen attached with hydrogen, NH3, CH3, ASH3, SbH3, BiH3. These are all different molecules with hydrogens. Now, NH3 is there, BH3 is there, ASH3, SbH3. Okay, so see here, attached atoms are different, same, but central atoms are different. More is the electronegativity, more is the bond angle. So more is the bond electronegativity, more is the bond angle in it. So that is NH3 has more bond angle than this one. So that is the bond angle order. So bond angle order. So someone asks, sir, if both are different, you should remember those values. Both are different. Sorry, attached atoms, central atom, both are different. No doubt, there is no regular case wise. So you should know the values. Automatically, you should arrange those in that particular value. So there is no common term. Okay. So this is about your bond angle. These are all very, very, very important, boys. These are all very, very, very important. Okay. So next parameter. That is bond enthalpy. Bond enthalpy, which is also called as bond energy. Bond enthalpy or bond energy. Very, very, very important. What is this bond enthalpy or bond energy? This is already I completed at the time of thermodynamics, in particular thermochemistry. Bond enthalpy we completed there. So first a little here we are discussing any. So see here, what is this bond enthalpy? See here, what is that? So there is a bond, boys. See here, there is a bond between hydrogen and hydrogen. It is the bond. The molecule must be in gaseous state, otherwise this bond enthalpy explanation is not possible. So molecule must be in gaseous state, my dear boys. So there is a bond. How many bonds are there? 1 mole bonds are there. So these 1 mole bonds I am trying to break. These 1 mole bonds I am trying to break, which are in gaseous molecule. There is something energy is required. Something energy is required. This required energy to break this 1 mole bonds in a gaseous molecule is called as bond energy or bond enthalpy. That is called as bond energy or bond enthalpy. Here the bond is going to be break. That is bond dissociation energy. So to break that bond enthalpy here we consider as bond dissociation energy. Bond dissociation energy is nothing but bond energy or bond enthalpy. So or bond enthalpy. So it is very, very important, boys. So very, very important. That is bond energy required. That is the energy required to break 1 mole bonds. That is the energy required to break 1 mole bonds present in a gaseous molecule. Now I am going to define this bond energy. So what is the definition for this bond energy? What is the definition for this bond energy? That is the energy required to break 1 mole bonds, 1 mole of bonds of a particular type between two atoms in a gaseous molecule, in a gaseous stage. In a gaseous stage. This is bond enthalpy. That is the energy required. Okay. So see, boys. So this bond enthalpy also useful to explain the stability of the molecule. So see here how. So stability of the molecule is directly proportional to bond energy. More is the bond energy, it is difficult to break that bond. It is difficult to break that bond means, so that means there is a strong attraction between those two atoms. That means the molecule is very, very, very stable. That means the more is the bond energy, more is the stability of that bond. That means more is the stability of that molecule. That means bond energy is also one of the factors, one of the concepts to explain the stability of the molecule. That is why bond energy is required. That is why bond energy. Now what are the factors that are influencing on this bond energy? What are the factors that are influencing on this bond energy? So first of all, bond energy is directly proportional to bond order. What is bond order? That is the number of bonds between the atoms. As the number of bonds between the atoms increases, automatically the energy required to break the bonds also increases. Automatically bond energy increases. That means, for example, there is a C single bond C, single bonds. There is a C double bond C, double bonds. There is a C triple bond C, triple bond. Here bond order is equal to 1. Here bond order is equal to 2. Here bond order is equal to 3. Bond order is equal to 1. Bond order is equal to 2. Bond order is equal to 3. So therefore, so here only one bond, less energy is sufficient. Here more bonds, more energy is sufficient. Therefore, the order of bond energy, the bond energy order is less than. Therefore, bond energy is directly proportional to bond order. Bond energy directly proportional to bond order. How much, sir? That is here 341 kilojoule per mole is required. 341. It is 610 kilojoules per mole required. 610. Now it is 828 kilojoule per mole required. 828 kilojoule per mole required. That means as the number of bonds between the atoms increases, bond energy increases. Bond energy. So it is the best example to explain bond energy as the number of bonds increases. Okay. Next, another factor. That is That is, bond energy is inversely proportional to number of lone pairs on the central atom. Bond energy is inversely proportional to number of lone pairs on the central atom. As the number of lone pairs at the central atom increases, see here what I have explained. So that is, for example, there is a C single bond C boys. There is N single bond N boys. There is O single bond with oxygen. These are all single bonds. That means we expected same bond energy, but bond energy is different. So because here carbon has only single bonds, so carbon has no lone pairs. Carbon has no lone pairs, but nitrogen has one lone pair on each nitrogen. One lone pair on each nitrogen. One lone pair on each nitrogen. Here oxygen has two lone pairs on each oxygen atom. Two lone pairs. See boys, here no lone pair, here one lone pair. So lone pair occupies more space on the central atom than that of bond pairs. That means these two atoms are very near to each other. There is a greater repulsion between these two lone pairs. As the repulsion increases, automatically the bond is weaker. So weaker bond easy to break. That means less energy is sufficient. Here more is the number of unpaired, more is the electrons, more is the repulsions, more is the lone pair of electrons, more is the repulsions, automatically weak is the energy. And therefore, as a number of, therefore bond energy is a greater case. So therefore, this is the bond energy order. As the number of lone pairs increases, as the number of lone pairs at the central atom increases, repulsion between them increases. As repulsion increases, stability of that bond decreases. It is easy to break. That is why bond energy decreases. Therefore, bond energy is inversely proportional to number of lone pairs on the central atom. Number of lone pairs on the central atom. It is another factor. Another factor. Next, one more end. In case of different same type of bonds, see here. What is that? That is, so next case, that is, I am taking methane molecule. After explanation, I will explain the definition. See here, I am taking methane molecule. Here all are CH bonds. All are CH bonds. So here I am going to break this bond. That means here there is a CH4 molecule, one bond is going to break. What is that bond? CH bond. So for energy required for this one is, let it be E1. E1. Now CH3 is there. So in CH3, one more CH bond is going to be break. That means environment is changed, boys. In previous CH4 we tested. Now it is CH3. So there CH bond, that means the same type of bond is going to break. So here E2 energy is required. So now CH2, E3 energy is required. So last one, that is E4 energy. That means CH4 is going to be atom cell, 4 hydrogen atoms. That means E1, E2, E3, E4 are the energies required to break those CH bonds, 4 CH bonds. That means same type of different bonds. The same type of bonds in different environments. Same type of bonds in different environments. I am going to break. See boys, now I want to find out how much is the CH bond energy or bond enthalpy. What is the CH bond enthalpy? Is E1, because it is a CH, it is a CH, it is a CH, it is CH. So E1 or E2 or E3 or E4, which one is the bond energy for CH? So no one is the bond energy. No one is the bond energy. So average of all these values, is the bond energy for that CH. Now CH bond energy is equal to E1 plus E2 plus E3 plus E4 by E1 plus E2 plus E3 plus E4 by 4. That is the bond enthalpy of CH. That means no individual value is nothing is considered as bond energy. That means if more number of same type of bonds are broken, are going to be break, average of those bond energies are taken as bond enthalpy of that bond. Average value you should consider, not any one of those two values. Here is the example. Now one more example, boys. So there is H2O. there is H2O. For this bond breaking, there is a need of 502 kilojoules of energy. So to break this OH bond, that is we use 427 kilojoules per mole. Now, what is the bond enthalpy of OH bond? What is the bond enthalpy of OH bonds? Is 502 or 427 or average of these two? That is average of these two. That is bond enthalpy of OH is equal to 502 plus 427 by 2. 502 plus 427 by 2. That value is 464.5 kilojoule per mole. So this is the bond enthalpy. So this is the way to explain bond enthalpy. So some problems in bond enthalpies already we completed at the time of thermodynamics. So please check at that point. Okay. This is all about your bond energy. As bond energy increases, stability of the molecule increases. So that is bond energy, bond angle, next bond length. Next parameter, bond order. Already I explained. What is bond order? That is nothing but number of bonds between two atoms in a molecule. As bond order increases, stability of the molecule increases. Maximum bond order between two atoms is only 3. Because only 3 electron pairs are shared, maximum possibility is there. This is bond order. Okay. So between two atoms, between any two atoms, maximum is always not about 3 ending. But maximum possibility between two atoms is 3 ending. So that is maximum bond order. So bond order is inversely proportional to, bond order is directly proportional to bond energy. More bonds, more is the bond energy. Bond order directly proportional to stability. Bond order is inversely proportional to bond length. Bond order is inversely proportional to bond length. Already we completed at the time of MOT concept. All those are applicable here. This is all about your bond order. So, okay. So these are some parameters, but these are a minute important, less important thing. But coming out topics, what are those? Resonance concepts, polar concepts. These two concepts are very, very important, my dear boys. Listen carefully. These two topics are very, very important. Okay. So that is, first of all, I am going to explain concept of resonance. Okay. So that is resonance. What is resonance? So that is we are going to explain. Resonance ending. So what is this resonance? This is applicable for neutral molecules or ions, as it is positive or negative, whatever. Okay. So now what is resonance? So listen carefully. I will explain. First of all, I am trying to explain with an example. After that, I will give the definition. So now I am taking carbonate ion. Example. Carbonate ion. I am taking it. Ion. It is carbonate ion. I am trying to write Lewis dot structures for this carbonate ion. Already we completed. I am writing here, boys. So this is a carbonate ion Lewis dot structure. There is a carbon at the central atom. So 3 oxygens are at trigonal planar shape. Next, one of these 3 oxygens, there is a double bond. This oxygen has 2 pairs of electrons. Remaining 2 oxygens have 3 pairs of electrons. These are the lone pairs. This oxygen has a negative charge. This oxygen has a negative charge. This is CO3 2- ion structure. So someone asked me, sir, why you draw the pi bond here? Why not here? Yes, I am drawing pi bond there. So that is also possible. So here also possible. So that means I am replacing that pi bond placement that gives different structures. So different structures. See here. This is oxygen, oxygen, oxygen. So this is I am writing pi bonds. So that has 2 lone pairs. Remaining 2 has 3 lone pairs. This one has minus charge. This one has minus. I am writing pi bond here. Now I am replacing. I am writing pi bond here. So that is, and that gives another structure, boys. Another structure. Now pi bond is here. Now pi bond is here. So this one has 2 lone pairs. This one has 3 electron pairs. 3 electron pairs with the negative. So these are 3 different structures, boys, for the same CO3 2 minus. For the same CO3 2 minus. See here, what we observe. That is, so this is a sigma bond, this is a sigma bond, this is a sigma bond, this is a pi bond, boys. Here also, sigma bond, sigma bond, sigma bond, it is a pi bond. It is a pi bond. Here, sigma, 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 but it is a pi bond. Pi bond. Okay, so that means in these 3 structures, so tell me the answers. So is there any change in the position of carbon and oxygen atoms? Is there any change in the position of carbon and oxygen atoms in these 3 structures? See, observe it. Carbon or oxygen, both of them. Is there any change in the position of carbon and oxygen? No one. But pi bond position is changed or not? Pi bond position is changed or not? Pi bond position, yes. Pi bond position is changed. Is lone pairs changed or not? Lone pairs changed or not? Yes. So that means by changing the position of pi bonds or lone pairs without changing sigma bonds. Boys, is there any change in sigma bonds? Is there any change in sigma bonds? No. That means here sigma bonds. Sigma bond position not changed. Atoms position not changed. Atoms position not changed. Pi bonds position changed. Pi bond position changed. Lone pairs position changed. Okay, so by changing the position of lone pairs and pi bonds without changing atoms position and sigma bonds, that gives different structures. This gives different structures. Different structures. That gives different structures. These different structures are called as resonance structures. Resonance structure, and the concept is called as resonance. So what is resonance? Existence of a single molecule in 2 or more structures. Existence of a single molecule in 2 or more structures without changing their sigma bonds, without changing the position of the atoms, but by the change of either lone pairs or pi bonds is called as resonance. And those structures are called as resonance structures. And those structures are called as resonance structures. Boys, is this clear? So see here, resonance is clearly explained with the double-headed arrow. It is a symbol for resonance. Whenever a double-headed arrow you observe, that is in resonance. So that means this structure is in resonance with this one. This structure is in resonance with this one. That means these are the 3 resonance structures. All these 3 resonance structures are also called as canonical structures. See here. All these 3 structures, these are called as resonance structures. These are called as resonance structures or canonical structures. These are also called as canonical structures or resonance structures. It is a symbol for resonance, boys. It is the symbol for resonance. Okay, so most of the molecules exist in resonance dynamics. So that is resonance structures. Boys, please listen here. These canonical structures are only imaginary structures. These canonical structures. That means this is happened. See here. Actually, what happened here? Actually, what happened here? See here, boys. See here. This lone pair come to like this. That means lone pair is converted into bond pair. This bond, pi bond, is converted to like this. This is actually happening. That means lone pair is changed to pi bonds. Lone pair is changed to pi bonds. This pi bond is changed to lone pair. Pi bond is, that means lone pair and pi bonds interconvertible. Lone pair and pi bond. Now see here. This lone pair is involved here, and this pi bond is like this. This pi bond is like this. That means lone pair is changed to pi bond and pi bond is changed to lone pair. Now this structure is happened. Now this structure is happened. That means lone pair changed to pi bond changed to lone pair. That concept, that means atoms placement is not changed. Sigma bonds are not changed. Only pi bonds and lone pair positions are changed. That concept is called as resonance. These structures are called as resonance structures. So this is what we observe, that is imaginary. Just our assumption. That is totally our assumption. Okay, so this is our assumed structures, boys. So all these are imaginary structures. So all these are imaginary structures. Sir, which one is correct, sir? But what is the structure of this CO32 minus, sir? CO32 minus, sir. See here, not this structure, not this structure, not this structure. Combination of all these three structures gives a new structure. Combination of mixing of all these three resonance structures gives a new structure. That is the structure of ion. That is the structure of this ion. See here, how is that? See, boys, once again I am drawing. Once again I am drawing here. Carbon with oxygen, oxygen, oxygen. So mixed structure I am trying to draw. Mixed structure I am trying to draw. So see here, sometimes pi bond is here. So this pi bond now here. That means here also pi bond possibility is there. Sometimes pi bond is here. Here also pi bond possibility is there. That means this is with 2 minus ion. This is with 2 minus ion. This is the combination of all these three structures, which is called as resonance structures. So resonance structures mixture is nothing but resonance hybrid. This structure is called as resonance hybrid structure. Resonance hybrid structure. This is the structure of CO3 2 minus ion. Carbonate ion structure is like this. Not any one of these three. Not any one of these three. This is the actual structure of carbonate ion. That means whenever resonance is available, mixed structure is the actual structure of that particular molecule or ion, but not any one of these canonical structures. But for explaining the properties, any one of the canonical structures we consider. Any one of the canonical structures we consider, but actual structure is combination of all those structures. Combination of all those structures. Okay. So now, so tell me what is the bond order for this molecule? So now my question is, what is the bond order of CO in CO3 2 minus ion? What is the bond order of CO? CO bond is there. What is the bond order? What is the bond order of that CO3 is CO bond order in CO3 minus? See, boys, here bond order is 1 Here bond order is 1 Here bond order is 2. But the bond order is 1 or 2. The bond order is 1 or 2. No one. It is more than 1, less than 2. More than 1, less than 2. But the one bond is shared by 3 oxygen atoms. For oxygen, 1 by 3 is available. 1 plus 1 by 3. 1 plus 1 by 3. That is 1.33 is the final answer. 1 plus 1 by 3. Because one bond is shared by 3 atoms. One bond is shared by 3 atoms. There is a 1.133 because extra 0.3 per bond is available. So now how to calculate bond order? So bond order, boys, is this a cyclic molecule or open chain molecule? Is this a cyclic molecule or open molecule? Open molecule and non-cyclic molecule. And for this type of non-cyclic molecules, that is open chain molecules, that is non-cyclic molecules, bond order is equal to, please note down the formula. Bond order is equal to, for this type of molecules, bond order is equal to number of bonds between atoms in one structure, number of bonds between atoms in one structure by number of bonded atoms to the central atom. Number of bonds between atoms in one structure by total number of bonds, and total number of bonds between atoms in one structure by number of bonded atoms, number of bonded atoms to the central atom, number of bonded atoms to the central atom. See boys, now bond order is equal to total number of bonds between two atoms, total number of bonds. It is, I am considering this is the canonical structure boys. 1, 2, 3, 4. Total 4 bonds are there. Now this is one atom, this is another atom, this is another atom. 3 atoms are surrounded. It is 4 by 3. 1.33 is the bond order. 1.33 is the bond order. So that means in case of non-cyclic compounds, if there is a resonance, if it is non-cyclic, bond order is equal to total number of bonds in one structure by number of attached atoms to the central atom. Number of attached atoms to the central atom. It is a way to calculate bond order. So therefore, the CO bond order in this molecule is 1.33. Not 1, not 1.5. It is 1.33. It is 1.33. Is this clear, boys? Is this clear? Now I will explain with an example by taking a cyclic structure, cyclic molecule. One cyclic molecule, boys, that is example 2. That is, I am considering benzene. Benzene is the best example for this one. Benzene, its formula is C6H6N. C6H6. So this benzene exists in different resonance structures, boys, like this. See here. Carbon, 6 carbons in cyclic formula. 6 carbons in cyclic form, 6 hydrogens, each carbon is connected with one hydrogen. Boys, on your boards, there are number of bonds. All these bonds are, all these black line bonds are sigma bonds. How many sigma bonds in benzene? Total, between C and C6, between C and H6, total 12 sigma bonds here. 12 sigma bonds. So now, there is 3 pi bonds, that is 1, 2, 3. 3 pi bonds are there. 3 pi bonds in benzene, boys. Now someone asks, sir, why only you draw here? Why not here? Yes, draw here, there. So that gives resonance. That gives resonance. See here. Carbon. Six hydrogens. So that is sigma bonds are not changed, but pi bonds are. Now the pi bonds are here. Now the pi bonds are there. So see boys, is there any change in the position of carbon atoms or hydrogen atoms or sigma bonds? Is there any change? Carbon atoms, hydrogen atoms or sigma bonds? No change here. But pi bonds positions are changed. Check it. Pi bonds positions are changed. Am I correct? Yes. So that's why these two are resonance structures. These two are in resonance structures. So these resonance structures are explained by the scientist Kekulé. Kekulé. That is the scientist name. That's why these two structures are called as Kekulé structures. Kekulé structures. Okay. Now, not only Kekulé, another scientist also explained these resonance structures for benzene. Like this, three other structures are there. This is one of them. Second one. Second one. Third one. These are the three resonance structures given by Dewar scientist. Dewar. That means how many resonance structures for benzene, boys? Two Kekulé structures, three Dewar structures. Altogether, 5 structures are there in. These 5 structures are resonance structures. Atoms placement is not changed. So that means that the collection of all these 5 structures, the collection of all these 5 structures, yes, the collection of all these 5 structures gives a new structure. That is called as resonance structures. That is called as resonance hybrid. So for that, the resonance hybrid is like this. Atoms placement is not changed. Atoms placement is not changed. But, so pi bonds, boys, sometimes here, sometimes here, sometimes here. That means the pi bond is not fixed at one point. Pi bond is not fixed at one point. That means pi bond is variable ending. That means those pi bonds are called as variable bonds. Non-localized, delocalized bonds. Because those are not fixed at one point. So that means those bonds which are not placed at a fixed point are called as delocalized. Here 3 delocalized pi bonds are there. 3 delocalized pi bonds are there. That means sometimes pi bond is here, sometimes here, sometimes here, sometimes here. That means now there is a circle inside that ring. There is a circle. That circle, nothing but 3 pi bonds. Where it is? No one is there. No perfect place. That is the variable end, rotatable end. That is rotatable end. This is called as resonance hybrid of benzene. Because of this resonance, not only this, at anywhere, because of this resonance, molecule loses its energy. Because of resonance, molecule loses its energy. Because one structure is interconvertible, and for that interconvertible, they use that uses that energy. That means it loses something energy. That loses something energy. Okay, that energy is called as resonance energy. During resonance, molecule loses some energy. During resonance, molecule loses that energy. That energy is called as resonance energy. So, boys, during resonance, so molecule losses some energy, which is called as resonance energy. Which is called as resonance energy. So that means losing energy is resonance. That much energy is lost means that much energy is less for molecule. So more is the amount of energy lost, more is the coming out energy. Less is the inner energy. Less is the energy, more is the stability. That means resonance energy is more, outgoing energy is more, stability is more. Stability is more, and that means resonance energy is directly proportional to stability of the molecule. That means resonance also helps to explain the stability of the molecule. That is why benzene is that much stable because of more number of resonance structures. So benzene is very, very stable because of resonance. Because of resonance. Okay, now, sir, what is the bond order between carbon and carbon? Is this single bond or is this double bond? Is this single bond or double bond? Now, how to calculate bond order in case of cyclic compounds? Already in case of non-cyclic compounds, so previous example is there. For cyclic compounds, how to find out bond order? So see here. For cyclic compounds, bond order is equal to, for cyclic compounds, bond order is equal to, see boys, number of bonds both sigma plus pi. Both sigma plus pi. Number of bonds in the ring in one structure by number of atoms in the ring. Number of atoms in the ring. Number of bonds, both sigma and pi in the ring in one of the structures. Because boys, please manage. So number of interchanges are there, but number of bonds is always constant. Number of lone pairs constant, but placements are different. So number of bonds, that is both sigma and pi. So in the ring, that is therefore CC bond order in benzene is equal to number of bonds, that is 6 plus 3, total 9, by number of atoms there. These are the only atoms in the ring. That is why 6 said. That is 3 by 2, which is equal to 1.5. 1.5 is the bond order. 1.5 is the bond order. Okay, it is the way to explain. So resonance in case of cyclic compounds, in case of non-cyclic compounds. So bond order is very, very important, boys. Bond order is very, very important. Next, this resonance energy. So there is resonance energy, boys. What is this resonance energy? That is the amount of energy lost rate. That is the amount of energy lost, which is called as resonance energy. How to calculate that resonance energy? Resonance energy is calculated by using the formula. Already that is completed in your thermodynamics, boys. So resonance energy is equal to absorbed heat of formation minus calculated heat of formation. Absorbed heat of formation minus calculated heat of formation for a molecule, that is called as resonance energy. Based on this formula, we calculated two different problems in your thermodynamics. Please check there. Resonance energy is equal to absorbed heat of formation of molecule by minus calculated heat of formation of the reaction. So this is all about your resonance. With the help of this resonance, we will explain one more concept, boys. That is back bonding. That is very, very, very important, boys. Back bonding. What is this back bonding? See here. So resonance is completed, boys. The concept is back bonding end or back bonds. Listen, very, very, very important. Very, very important concept. Short, chinna concept. Very, very small concept. So what is this back bonds? So first of all, I will explain with an example. I will explain an example. After that, we'll define the concept. So see here. What is this back bond? Let us take an example. Boron trifluoride, BF3. Boron trifluoride. Here the central atom is boron. So boron atomic number 5. I'm writing the electronic configuration 1s2, 2s2, 2p1, boys. 2p1. Inner orbits we don't consider. Outermost electronic configuration, this one. I'm trying to draw the box method. It is 2p orbitals. This is 2s orbitals. 2s2, 2p1. In the excitation, this electron jumped from here to here. So this is boron excited electronic configuration, outer shell electronic configuration. So here boron, this s orbital, these two p orbitals are involved in hybridization and gives sp2 hybridization. That means in BF3, boron is in sp2 hybridization. So, but boron outermost orbit has an empty orbital. This is what I want. So, after completion of sp3 hybridization, there is an empty orbital. There is an empty orbital. This empty orbital is required to explain this bonding. That means in BF3, boron has an empty orbital. See here, this is the structure, boys. Boron, 3 fluorines. Each fluorine has a lone pair of 3 lone pairs of electrons. Halogens generally have 3 lone pairs of electrons. Each fluorine has 3 lone pairs of electrons. Okay, so this is a trigonal planar shape, planar molecule. So now there is an empty orbital in boron. This is the empty orbital. Okay, there is an empty orbital at the boron. There is a lone pair at fluorine. So boys, the size of this boron and fluorine is almost the same. Nearby same. That is why. So after formation of a single bond, this lone pair is donated by the fluorine to boron because boron has an empty orbital. That means a bond is formed from fluorine to attached atom to central atom. Actually, central atom can form bond with attached atom, but here attached atom can form a bond with central atom. This bond is nothing but a coordinate covalent bond, which is here called as a back bond. Which is here we call as a back bond. That means a bond is formed from attached atom to central atom. That is a lone paired species to empty orbital species. Lone paired. That means what is a back bond? Where it is applicable? If a molecule having a lone pair on one of the attached atoms or a central atom and an empty orbital at central atom or one of the attached atoms. So there is a back bond formation takes place. Because of this, that means the bond is like this. So that is, there is 3 fluorines, a back bond is formed. That is, back bond is nothing but coordinate covalent bond. Now it is involved in resonance. Sometimes this is donated. Next, this one is donated. This one is donated. That means it gives resonance. This gives resonance, boys. This gives resonance. Okay, that back bond concept, nothing but dative bond, no doubt. That is, back bond is nothing but dative bond, which is coordinate covalent bonds. Okay, that bond gives a resonance concept. Because of that, the bond order in BF3 between B and F is how much? Shall we calculate? Because of resonance concept, it is open chain compounds. So therefore, bond order of BF bond is equal to, that is, number of bonds in the molecule, that is 4 by number of atoms attached to the central atom, 4 by 3, what is 1.33, which is 1.33. That is, resonance concept is applicable. Open chain compounds. So in BF3, the bond order is 1.33, not 1, because of back bonding. That means back bonding influences bond orders. See here, it is very, very important. So when it is possible, central atom and attached atoms, either of these, one having a lone pair, another having empty orbital, automatically back bonding is possible. Now see boys, see here, sir, BF3, so back bonding is acceptable. Now is this concept is also applicable for BCl3? The same concept is also applicable for BCl3 or not? So BCl3, there also chlorine. Chlorine has 3 lone pairs of electrons. Okay, so this is, boron has empty orbital, already we observed. Now back bonding between this chlorine and boron is possible or not? Not possible, sir. Why not? Yes, it is not possible. Why not, sir? Already I explained. These two atoms are comparable size, almost same size. But here boron is small size, fluorine is big size. It is a second period element. It is a third period element, boys. So second period element, third period. But here boron and fluorine both are second period elements. Comparable size, both are same. That is why overlapping is possible. This lone paired orbital, this empty orbitals, sidewise overlapping possible. That is why dative bond is possible. But here atoms sizes are not same and not comparable. That is why here back bonding is not exist. That means sizes plays an important role in back bond formation. Both are have same period elements generally gives back bonding. This back bond formation influences shapes of the molecules. See here so boys, what I told, what I am trying to explain is very important. 100% in your Saturday or Sunday exam, there is a bit 10. Try yourself. Check yourself. That is, back bonding influences structure of the molecules. That is the shapes of the molecules. Shapes of the molecules. That is, let us take NCH3 thrice. Nitrogen has a lone pair, boys. This is trimethyl amine. Trimethyl amine. Its structure is like this. Nitrogen, CH3, carbon is in tetrahedral condition. CH3. So nitrogen has a lone pair. So at nitrogen it is a pyramidal shape, boys. Nitrogen is a pyramidal molecule. But carbon is a tetrahedral. But overall the molecule, because this is the central atom, molecule is a pyramid. Molecule is pyramidal. Therefore, NCH thrice has a pyramidal structure. It has a pyramidal structure like this. Here nitrogen has a lone pair, boys. Now attached atoms are carbons. Each carbon has empty orbital. See here, carbon atomic number 6. Electronic configuration outermost, that is 2s1, 2px1, 2py1, 2pz1. So outermost, it is excited electronic configuration. So second orbital 2d orbitals are not existing. That means, so this is involved in sp3 hybridization. 4 bonds are formed. That means the carbon has no empty orbital. Carbon has no empty orbital. So, but nitrogen has a lone pair. Even though both these two atoms are same period elements, so back bonding is possible or not possible? Tell me. Back bonding is possible or not possible? Waiting for you. Not possible. Not possible. Yes, yes. Because empty orbital here not available, but lone pair available. Therefore, no back bonding. No back bonding. Therefore, the shape of this molecule is pyramidal retained. Pyramidal retained. Now I am taking one more example. That is NSiH3. Thrice. CH3, that is carbon is replaced with silicon. NSiH3 thrice. That is tricylyl amine. Tricylyl amine. It is the name of this compound. Silyl compound. It is methyl compound, that is silyl compound. Silicon, it is methyl carbonate. Tricylyl compound. So now here, similar, just carbon is replaced in nitrogen, SiH3, SiH3, SiH3. There is a lone parent. Silicon. Silicon has empty orbital, boys. Observe yourself. Silicon, atomic number 14. 14 means 3s1, 3px1, 3py1, 3pz1. And 3d orbitals are there which are empty. So these 4 involved in sp3 hybridization, but d orbitals are empty in condition. Therefore, silicon has empty orbitals. Silicon has empty orbital. Because of that empty orbital, this lone pair is donated from nitrogen to silicon. That means a back bonding is possible. A back bonding is possible. Here back bonding is possible. Because of this back bonding, the shape of this molecule, because nitrogen is in pyramidal shape and here also. Silicon is in tetrahedron, just like say methyl group. This is in tetrahedron, this is methyl. But because of this back bond formation, automatically the shape, that is pyramidal shape, is not exist. That is trigonal planar shape is existent. Trigonal planar shape is there because of formation of this back bonding. That means the shapes of the molecule is changed. So how I'm drawing the structure? See here, boys. See here, that is nitrogen, because back bonding is possible only in planar compounds. That's right. So during back bond formation, planarity is available. So silicon, silicon, silicon. These four atoms on the same board plane, boys. But these attached hydrogens are tetrahedral, not in same plane. These attached hydrogens are tetrahedral, not same plane. These atoms are not in the same plane. So this is empty orbital, lone pair is donated. Because of this, so sometimes this one, sometimes this one, sometimes this one, a quad, that is resonance structures are possible. So now the molecule is, boys, it is first structure, second structure, third structure. Three structures, resonance structures are possible. Because of this, so planarity is available. That is why at nitrogen, the structure is trigonal planar shape. Trigonal planar shape. So in this molecule, how many atoms are in the same plane? That is this one, this silicon, this is silicon, this is silicon. Four atoms are in the same plane, but not hydrogens. So therefore, now what is the shape of this trisilyl amine at nitrogen? At nitrogen, is this pyramidal shape or trigonal planar shape? Tell me, is this pyramidal shape or trigonal planar shape? NSiH3 tris has pyramidal shape or trigonal planar shape at nitrogen. Yes, trigonal planar. But NCH3 tris, trimethyl amine, there trimethyl amine, there pyramidal shape. Here silyl compound, the nitrogen is in trigonal planar shape because of back bonding. That means back bonding influences structure of the molecules.